Hello and welcome. Mark Hamill will forever be known as Luke Skywalker in the ongoing blockbuster Star Wars films. But there was much more to Mark's career than wielding a lightsaber and saving Princess Leia. To distance himself from Luke Skywalker in the 1980s, he stepped away from the movie world for a number of years and challenged himself on New York's Broadway stage. This included the title roles in the stage versions of Amadeus and the Elephant Man, and then in a musical called Harrigan N Hart. Mark also auditioned for the film version of Amadeus but missed out to actor Tom Hulce. As well as singing and dancing, Mark is also a wonderfully talented voice mimic and has gone on to have a remarkably successful career as a voice actor. His greatest success has been providing the voice for the Joker in the Batman animated TV series, but also provided the voice of the Hobgoblin character in the 90s Spider-Man animated series. When he returned to movies in the late 80s, he sought roles that were far removed from the boyish blonde hero of Star Wars, including taking the role of a ruthless bounty hunter in the sci-fi film Slipstream, shot in Turkey. I caught up with him at the Cannes Film Festival in 1989, shortly after he'd finished shooting.
Welcome back to the movies. You've had quite a length of time on stage, but I guess you really liked it because you've done some great work in New York.
I love the live audience. I think after being in television and film for a long time, I felt like I'd been away from them for so long, and they really tell you they can be the best acting teachers in the world. They're the best editors, because when you feel them start to recede, they are the great unwritten character in whatever play you're doing. And I was away from it for so long, and all the people that I knew from like drama college and people that knew me from my stage work said, "When are you going to get back? When are you going to get back?" And then the way it happened was I auditioned for Sir Peter Hall, which was, it was, I'm great about doing my British dialects and my Cockney and this and that and the other thing around friends, but now it's put up or shut up in front of like the big gov of all time. So my knees were knocking together, and I thought, I imagined I was someone else. I wasn't Tim Curry. I'm trying to think of who I was. I think I was maybe a young John Mills or something, but it was definitely a movie image from a David Lead, or maybe it was Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. In any sense, it wasn't me, and I flew. I knew I flew, and I knew it was one of the turning points auditions, and he hadn't seen the movie, so he didn't have that sort of preconceived notion. And then my momentum happened in New York, and then one thing led to another, and I really wanted to do comedy, and I think, a large portion, although it's a tragic story, of Amadeus is very funny, and, Elephant Man's not exactly a barrel of laughs, but room service I did.
And, Alan Arkin, he said, I don't really see you playing a Jewish producer, it doesn't work for me.
And I just sort of put on my New York aggressive thing, and he was convinced, and so that was the great thing, is the surprise element. And people came to see the play thinking I'm going to play the naive, gosh, I've never been in New York before, the playwright, and instead I was like the sleazy producer, and the black hair and the black mustache. That helped me, I like to look different, because I said to Alec Guinness, there's something that was really strange about The Lady Killers. It's one of my favorite Ealing comedies. What was that? And he said, well, I had a small veneer. I said, what's a small veneer? He said, well, it's a piece for your teeth. So when I said, this is Wilberforce, I felt everything from here. And he said he changed from his mouth down. And it's a clever thing. These are bogus glasses. There's no prescription in them. But the reason I wear this elaborate disguise is because I have many enemies.
Star Wars fans, most of them.
I don't know. I meet strange people. I was coming home from this unbelievable trip from Canada where we got on the plane and there were union problems. We wound up sitting on the runway for about 7 hours. And it was one of those things where it was just the strangest night of my life. I was trying to call my wife. They let us get off the plane, and this woman was ahead of me on the phone. She turned around. She said, "It's a terrible position, I know, but would you mind talking to? And I'm sort of used to that. I'm expecting like a 9-year-old. The guy gets on the phone and he says, hello, this is so-and-so of the Toronto Star Daily, and I'd like to know what you think about the Canadian Airlines as opposed to the American Airlines. And the next thing, I mean, I went from thinking I'm talking to a little, where's Yoda? Is Yoda, is R2-D2 here? Instead, I'm talking to a guy who wants a statement on the different unions. So that was strange. And I got back to Los Angeles, and it was 2, 3 in the morning, and I got this cab driver who started talking about how Darth Vader is the second coming of the Antichrist, and it was like, Earth to mark, be aware. He reached for the glove compartment, and I thought, this is it. He's going to reach for a handgun, and I'll be like a small item on page 16. But he was just a cigarette he wanted, but very unusual. He actually said that the Star Wars films were all true, based on actual experiences, and he's cleared out his backyard for UFOs to land. It was too strange, because to me, when people come up and say, I've seen Star Wars 132 times, my subtext is, how very sad for you. Get a life.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, it is such a... I don't know what it is. It's almost like Wizard of Oz in the sense you think, gee, I'd gladly chuck taxes and Reagan and everything else and go live there. It's a kind of a nice... I don't know. In a way, I do understand its strengths as a... as a timeless fairy tale.
Well, exactly, it is a wonderful fairy tale, but it's clearly come to haunt you in your professional life.
Haunt me?
Yeah, I mean, do you find it difficult to, maybe not now, but certainly after the third one was still fresh in people's minds? Scripts must have been all for sci-fi movies.
Well,
and
it was.
Sort of thing.
I will agree that the Hollywood imagination is not quite as, I don't know, I mean, they're much more receptive to you in New York, I mean, because you can just go in and audition, and they can see you get up and do it. I think there's a tendency in Hollywood to have a list of this actor, this actor, this actor. Well, no, that's not right. He's too this or that, based on that very strong image. So, yeah, I will grant you. I don't mind going after something and getting turned down. It's when you don't get the chance to fail. That was the hard thing. I wasn't getting the chance to fail in Hollywood. So, I moved to New York, and it's hard for me. I have to distance myself and say, yes, see, in a lot of people's minds, you just disappeared for 5 years because I have tunnel vision. I'm in New York, and that's all there is. I don't know about Los Angeles or London or anywhere else. And to me, I've been so busy, and I've done one good role after another, but not on film, unfortunately. I mean, not the kind of roles. It's not because of lack of offers, but it was lack of challenge. To me, if the role looks way beyond your grasp, take it. If they're foolish enough to offer it to you, you will be able to stretch yourself way beyond belief. I mean, it was really scary. It's like jumping out of an airplane. I did a Broadway musical. Me in a Broadway musical. I said, it's such a good part, I want to play it, but I don't know if I have the vocal range, I don't know if I can dance, I really don't know. And when I got it, and they sent me to dance class 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 3 months before our first rehearsal. I mean, it was like being tortured daily. And you'd be backstage on Broadway, and the overture would start, and you think, I must be out of my mind. Why did I put myself up for this? I don't need this. I could be in Vermont, running a maple syrup stand or something. Something that's easier on... I know I'm aging 7 or 8 years, even as we speak, but that's the challenge. That's the fear of I mean, it'd be easy to go. I had lots of offers to go be in Barefoot in the Park, in a 2,000-seat arena, and you get 33% of the gross, and we'll hire all these local actors. You'll be the only one making money. But the satisfaction is going into the arena with the Lions, with Frank Rich and with John Simon and the Toughies, and they've been hard on me, and they've been wonderful to me. I got a Drama Desk nomination. See, I'm a slow developer. I didn't get a Tony nomination, but the Drama Desk to me is I was very proud of it. I didn't win. I didn't want to win. I was glad I was nominated. That's of the old yucky cliches, their thank you speeches and so forth. But it meant something to me because I was being slowly accepted by the New York community, which is tough. They have, I think, a preconceived notion of actors. Where will my cue cards be for this? And I'll be in my trailer.
Yes. How then, with the passion that you obviously have for stage work, did Gary Kurtz drag you away to make another movie in Turkey, of all places?
He sent me the script, and I read it, and I thought, well, this is refreshing. Normally you say to your agent, well, it's a cross between Rambo and Alien. It's a cross between American Graffiti and Terms of Endearment, or whatever. You always compare it, a high-concept film, the poster that tells you the whole story. He's got 5 minutes to defuse the bomb, or the world as we know it will come to an end. Who can stop him? Well, you've seen it, haven't you? This one, there was so much room for interpretation on the part of not only the actors, the director, the art director. Everyone was going to get together, and you couldn't peg it down. I said, this is screwy. In one part, it's like the good, the bad, and the ugly, and here it's like the 10 Commandments or something. And another thing was I got to play a grown-up, and I got to play an antagonist. When I first read it, I thought I was up for Billy Paxton's part. And he's great at it. I mean, actually, it's a fun part that I would have considered, but a kind of good old boy, and I haven't done that on screen. I did a TV show called Texas Weavers. Now, Gary Busey was in that. You know Gary from Buddy Holly's story?
Sure enough.
Yeah. And Jack Elam. Jack Elam, this great cockeyed character actor. It's me, your loving daddy. He's like this grizzled old, wonderful John Ford actor. But I hadn't done it on screen, so I thought, well, maybe I'll do it, but I don't know. And then they said, well, no, that's not the part we want you for. We want you for that part. And I thought, oh, I've got to do it. I must do it. Because, you have these really, I shouldn't say this, because to me, Slipstream makes...
It's just between you and me.
Well, just between you and me. I think Slipstream is very funny. Makes me laugh, but I have this perverse sense of humor. To me, a really funny line is this woman says, aren't you... the old, aren't you tired of the killing, all the killing? Say, hey, every time I put a piece of human trash on the garbage heap, the world's a better place. And I had to do it about 35,000 times in my apartment before I could do it without laughing. I mean, I don't do it that way in the movie. I hopefully am sincere in its delivery, but what absurd kind of Rambo nonsense is that? And I guess there are people, I said to Gary, who thinks like this? He said, Oliver North. Oh, ends justify the means. Constitution, American public, and the Senate aside, here's our goal. And that really, I really clicked into that. And I had so much fun doing it, I'm thinking it's got to be a horrible movie. Because what you read is, the movies where you suffer and fight and hate your leading lady and storm off the set and all that, those are the good ones. Aside from the physical, the locations that were uncomfortable, I really had a lot of fun doing it.
Right. I understand that your young son, who's now 8,
that's right,
is, first he walked in Australia. He's a Crocodile Dundee fan. I just wonder if Dad has had to acquire an Aussie accent. Can you do an Australian accent?
Well, the one I first started doing before I knew Paul Hogan and before I really became aware of Neighbours and so forth, the one I used to do, I was doing an English person doing an Australian accent. Was a lot of people poo-poo Australian table wines. For instance, Louis Sen Wagga Wagga, which is a fine Australian wine with slight afterburn. Now, see, I haven't done tapes, and if I really listen to Australian tapes, I love the melody and the language. One of my favorite, I know he's not as popular in Australia as in England, but Barry Humphries has the same love of not only language, but turns of,
absolutely, yeah.
It's as full as a Tommy complaint box. I love all that stuff. Not just Australian, but English as well. And in America, you go to make a film in the Deep South and you think it's like a foreign country.
It is, yeah.
It really, really is. And we sort of get lumped together in the great fast. I mean, that's why we all have these trick-or-treat presidents, because we have to get the South to agree with the Northwest to agree with it. I mean, and you wonder why we wind up with Nixon. It's obvious. Now, if we all became like separate little countries, then we might have a chance at a human being in that office. But as it is now, I think you have to. It's like it's the common denominator wins. And it's the old P.T. Barnum, never underestimate the...
That's right, the lowest common denominator element.
There you are.
Yeah. Mark, it's great to see you enjoying your work so much. Thank you very much for talking to us.
My pleasure. I'd love to work in Australia, by the way, so,
See me later. I've got a great deal for you.
I'm in Cannes. I gotta hustle.
Of course, Mark is unique in the movie world as Star Wars continues to be reinvented, allowing him to revive the same character, though appropriately aged, more than 40 years after he first brought Luke to the big screen. On a personal note, Mark has been married to his wife Mary Lou since 1978 and they have 3 children. He'll next be seen on the big screen in The Machine, shot in Serbia, and the TV series The Fall of the House of Usher.